Good evening, and welcome to the Speak Easy podcast. I am your host, Constance Willard, and I welcome you this evening. We have an amazing guest in the studio audience this evening, Daniel J. Williams, motivational speaker, mindset transition coach. And he's going to come to us this evening and chat and share some useful tools and information. And so without further ado, I am going to bring Daniel on into the studio. Good evening, Daniel, and welcome. How are you?
Great evening. I'm fantastic this evening. Glad to be here.
Great. So tell the studio audience a little bit about you, who you are.
Well, thank you for having me on. Once again, like you said, my name is Daniel J. Williams. I'm a mindset coach, author, speaker, and I really just enjoy me myself. I never thought that I'd be doing something like this. Actually, earlier in life, I thought I would actually be like a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer just because, yeah, I love the way that lawyers use their words and they were able to influence people and winning people over to their way of thinking. So it kind of ended up being a fit because, I mean, I've experienced a lot through life. I've always been a student of life, and I like to see people win. I like to see people come from where they are and actually end up being their best self. Truly.
Wow. So Daniel, I'm looking at your t-shirt and I've noticed that's your handle on Instagram, Act Accordingly. So tell us about the Act Accordingly and, what is that? What does it represent? What place and space were you in when you came up with Act Accordingly?
Oh man. So yeah, the act accordingly. It really came to me maybe about in 2015, 16. I was a fitness coach then, and I had a fitness facility, and the act accordingly it came to me. I actually was watching a movie, and there was something that sparked it, as in the gentleman was saying something to the lady in regards to something that she should know that she should do. And then behind that, he was like, now act accordingly. And it just hit me. It was like, yeah, when you know a thing, when you've been given the information, you've been given the strategy, you've been given the blueprint of the system for something, now you no longer can say you don't know. Now you have to act accordingly, which means now you have to go forth in what has been given to you. And it just stuck with me. And up until this point, it's like, it really spreads among people whenever I speak it. And it's like, oh, they're just like, act accordingly. Now that you said that, I know better. I know I have to act accordingly. So it really just stuck. And I pictured it as when God really gave it to me, he showed it to me as it really being a movement and not just a phrase, because it's not a phrase. It's a statement. It's a movement, because act accordingly is an action verb. It's an action verb. It's a verb. So it means go, move now.
All right. I like that. I noticed that was your handle on Instagram. And I'm like, act accordingly. And then I saw your t-shirt this afternoon. I'm like, okay, we're going to have a chat about the act accordingly. I like that. So let's talk about mindset, and it's like now mindset transformation. Mindset is the buzz right now. But, it's nothing new, because scripture teaches us about mindset. It does. Mm-hmm. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So mindset transformation has been there since the beginning of time. But it's like now it's the buzzword. And mindset means everything. So let's talk about mindset. So just give us your philosophy on mindset and how it affects who we are and what we do.
Well, I mean, mindset, it really does make who we are, because it's a collection of, like I've learned, it's a collection of our experiences through life and the way that we view things. It builds our belief system. So our mindset, it sets the plane, the atmosphere for how we're going to accept things, respond to things. It's gonna be our behavior. And like you said, it's something that's biblical. And the most important thing is our mind and our mindset. And in order for us to go and be into the places that we need to be, in order for us to believe that we're the person that we should be, it requires our mind to be set. And that's why God is always, throughout the Bible, from Genesis until the end, he's always speaking of our mind being renewed in your mind, that everything starts and happens in the mind. From the mind, as a man thinketh, so is he. So until you can really have how should I say it, a grip on on how you think, and you're thinking on your thoughts. That's like, in matter of fact, that's the title of my new book, Think on Your Thoughts. You can't actually really know how you want. You can't know where you really want to be, where you should be, until you get your thoughts straight. So if your mindset is everywhere because it's been groomed by someone else, then you're pretty much going to be at a loss. You're going to always wonder why I'm not getting my best, because you're not controlling that.
Wow. So tell us about your book. What inspired you to write your book?
Oh, it was actually when I had my fitness facility. I would come on early in the mornings after my 5 a.m. group, and I'd give like a 60-second inspirational or motivational or encouragement talk to the people. And I always would end it with the phrase, with my statement, act accordingly. And so, and then I continued to do that. And then I started writing it down. And what I would give encouragement on, I actually would find a scripture to go along with that. And someone just suggested, like, hey, you ought to make like a 30-day devotional out of that. Write a book. And that's where I came with it from. So I had the book. The book is out now. Think on Your Thoughts.
Okay.
And you could get it at www.theactaccordinglyseries.com. It's like I said, it's a 30-day devotional. It has a Daniel-ism, and then it has a scripture that goes along with it. And then there's like a brief story or synopsis that goes along with using something from the biblical standpoint, and then real life application at the same time. So it's something for everyone to relate to, and it makes you think on your behavior, your patterns, why you think the way that you think that has gotten you to this point. And if I want to go to the next place, what should I reevaluate, and what do I need to recalibrate in my thought process, in the way that I think, what I believe in order to change certain things about me, in order for me to move to the better version of me.
Wow. Wow. So the book that can be purchased is called Think on Your Thoughts by Daniel J. Williams, and it can be purchased at www.actaccordinglyseries.com. Am I correct?
The Act Accordingly series.
Yes, and I have that in the chat so that the listening audience and viewing audience can purchase the book if they would like. Is it also available by chance on Amazon?
It's not available on Amazon just yet. As of now, it's just through this link.
Okay. Okay, great. So go out today or tomorrow, go online, purchase the book, read it, get something from it, get your mind right. Get your mind right. So tell us, Daniel, if there's someone out there right now listening to us and they are in a place of stuck, what advice or guidance do you have for them to assist them to move forward?
Well, first of all, I'd have to say, take inventory and realize that it's not you. To realize that where you are is because of you. At a certain point in life, as children, we can't help where we are. But once you reach a certain point in life, you have to take inventory and say, okay, you know what? Where I am is because of me. What have I been doing that has gotten me to this place? Or what have I not been doing that has gotten me to this place? Once you can be honest with yourself in that, and you see why you're sitting in the place you're there, whether it's something you did or something you were not doing, then you can say, okay, now I know I need to do this. I need to start implementing this. I need to change this behavior. I need to change these places. I need to change these circles of friends, of relationships, in order for me to be able to pick myself up and start going in the direction that's going to really be for my best version of myself.
Okay. Now, Daniel, I detect a little gullah flair there. So, where are you from?
Actually, I was born in South Carolina. I was raised in Connecticut.
Okay. Okay. I can hear that little gullah twang there every now and then. I have family in South. My dad was from South Carolina, so
Yeah.
yeah. South Carolina State grad and everything. Okay, so
Okay.
Daniel, you're also a motivational speaker. Okay, so your topics. What do your topics address, and do you have any speaking engagements coming up in the near future?
Well, my topics, I love to engage everyone, youth, but specifically I have my passion for men. My passion has been for men simply because, as me myself, is from being a man that has brought myself up from homelessness and struggle with alcoholism and drugs. Men really don't have a place to where they can go and really open up and just release themselves, and it's okay to do that without being looked at as being weak or looked down on. And then at the same time, we've been conditioned and brought up that we're supposed to be able to just take the punches of life and just roll with them, and we're not supposed to exhibit the emotions that God gave us. We're not supposed to say that it hurts. We're confused. So I really go at men, but young men, older men, men my age, and but I love for everyone to win. But I believe that me being specifically targeting men, and once men can kind of get their mindset straight, we get our mindset straight, we can kind of come back to the position of what a man really looks like and how a man is supposed to perform in the home first, having his responsibility and how he's supposed to perform in his home first, and then it can go out to everything else. Because if we get back into our homes and operate in our homes the way we're supposed to, then it'll change communities and neighborhoods and in the schools and cities, the state, like that. Once the family is back together as it's really supposed to be, because the men are back in order, we know how to express ourselves or how to not express ourselves, not suppressing anything, but just how to have self-control and how to articulate things and how to do it in an order and in a way to where we still have respect and not lose it. So I want men to really kind of get back to having some self-control. And then once you get some self-control and mastery of yourself, then we can actually turn back into being the leaders.
And I'm glad you said that about men, because men tend to hide things. They don't open up and they don't talk about things. And you're right, because they've been raised. Oh, come on now, be a big man when you're a little boy. Don't cry. Don't cry. That didn't hurt you. Well, yes, it did hurt. That's why you cried. And it's okay
Mm-hmm.
for men to cry. If God didn't want you to cry, he would not have given you that emotion. He
Exactly.
would not. And so I'm so glad that you said that, because so many times men operate in silence. And I think that that's the detriment and the cause of the downfall of so many of their relationships and their interaction, because they hide things, they hurt in silence, they're invisible. And I think that is the downfall of the male character and why men struggle so much. So I'm so glad that you said that. I'm so glad that you said that. So I commend you on working with men and encouraging them to talk and to open up and to give them a safe space to do that, because they do need that. They really do. I thank you so much for that. And so, do you have like local groups or that you work with men, or do you go out into the prison system? How do you reach the men?
Well, actually, you know what? I'm reaching out to different organizations and teams now, because what I want to start is a men's community. I don't want to start as far as what men we've been having traditionally is like having our clubs, our motorcycle clubs, or the something related to sports or something like that, and that's all good. But it's not a camaraderie in a place for talking about feelings and emotions and sharing things to really make it more normalized, to say, you know what, hey, it's all right if you feel like that. This is how I handled it. So it's not a thing about sharing business ideas or talking about stats or anything. It's talking about, okay, this is what I did when I was in that place, when I was going through divorce and my kids were feeling a certain way, and I was feeling like I failed them. To help men get that kind of stuff off of them, off their shoulders, and not walk around with that weight, because it what affects us, tell men all the when what affects us personally, it affects your family also. Because when you're heavy and you're burdened and you're suppressing things and you're trying to hide it because you just feel embarrassed, because we're taught we're supposed to have it all together, we're supposed to have all the answers to the problems. But it's okay to say, I don't have the answer now, but we're gonna make it through. There's gonna be a solution. I may not have it now, but it will come. And to have a community to where um we just speak amongst different topics, such as those things, like, men dealing with going through the family court system, and they're feeling alone and feeling like everything is against everything is against them, because there's no support or structure in place for them to get help, even when they're wanting to be the best dad, and it's just a vindictive partner that they have to co-parent with. And it puts something on them that everybody makes them seem as though they're the issue and they're the problem when they're trying to do, but more is put on them than they can actually handle. So who do they have to talk to? And that's the point of the men's community. I don't call it allow me to reintroduce myself, because in that mindset that mindset is going to be changed, and we're going to go from a place of, well, I can't talk about it, all of the odds against me, to, nah, you know what? I know how to stand, and I have a reservoir of men with experience in certain things that I can draw from, and I can overcome this. We have to get back to putting things back together, and in a place to saying, you know what? God put me in a place, in a position that, as long as I consult with him, then I can be the influence that you can follow. You can trust my decision making. You can trust me and follow me, family. You can follow me, wife. You can follow me, whoever it is that's under their influence. So that's what that community is all about. I'm kind of growing it. I started it on social media, on my Instagram and Facebook, but I think I'm gaining better traction with actually meeting men face to face, to kind of grow it, because the more we relate in a face-to-face interaction, it seems to work better for guys, because we're kind of we like to guard our manhood a lot. So social media would kind of look like we putting ourselves out there. So
Mhm.
men don't like that. So I'm learning that the face-to-face interaction is really more beneficial in growing this community.
It's nothing like that human and that personal touch. Nothing
Always.
like it. So you said earlier in the show that you brought yourself up from being homeless and dealing with addiction. So for that young man that's out there on the street right now who's battling those things and they really want to go back home or they really just want to remove themselves from that type of situation, what do you have for them today as far as guidance? What do you have to say to that person today?
Well, this is what I would have for you if whatever the addiction is, whether it's substance, whether it's alcoholism, whatever that addiction is, and you're tired of it, are you really tired of it? And if you're really tired of it, then you know what? First, I'm gonna say, and it sounds cliche, but it's a powerful thing. You know what? First, go ahead and say, give it to God, pray on it. Let him know that you're tired of this. Please, I don't want it anymore. It's a burden to me now because it wasn't always a burden. When I first started drinking, when I first started doing drugs, it was out of fascination. It was excitement. And then it started growing into being the thing that I did. And then it became a routine. Then it became a habit. Then it ended up being a burden because it was like, I don't know why I'm doing it anymore, but I'm just doing it. Now I'm stuck in doing it and I no longer have control. It's taking over me. Now I'm doing it because it feels as though I'm forced to do it. So now that you're in that place and you feel like you can't stop, you can stop. You can stop just as easily as you began because you know what? I know you're tired of it. Once I was tired and I sat and I cried, I had that last bag in my hand and I had that bottle, but I just didn't want to do it anymore. So once you get to that place, you just don't want to do it anymore. Just don't do it. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody on why you want to quit. You don't have to explain to anybody because you're doing it for you. You're doing it for your state of mind. You're doing it for your health. You're doing it for that better version of you, that future version of you that's waiting on you to say, you know what? I had enough. I'm not going to sabotage you anymore. So this is what we're going to do. And then
Wow.
there's different avenues for you to, once you do that, then you know what? There's someone trusting that you can talk to. And usually, you know what? It's not someone that's close to you. It's going to be somebody that you're going to feel uncomfortable talking to because they're a little bit ahead of you. You don't want to talk with somebody who's right there with you because they're probably not going to be a beneficial help. You need someone that's ahead of you that's not doing what you're doing, that's overcame that already, and they can help you to stay away from that once you walk away from it. So what I tell you is that be honest with yourself, let it go, pray, just give it to God and just say, hey, you're doing this, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it to satisfy anybody else. I'm not doing it because everybody's on my back nagging me, telling me you shouldn't do it, because you're going to return to it if you do it for anybody else. Do it because you're tired.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Wow. And so if someone in the listening audience wanted to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Well, you can find me, my social media handles. You can find me on Facebook, two different locations. You can find me by my name, Daniel J. Williams, on Facebook. And again, you can find my other page, Act Accordingly LLC, Men's Power Coaching. You could find me there. Also on Instagram, you could find me at the number 2, Act Accordingly. On Instagram, I'll be at the number 2, Act Accordingly. And you can reach out to me there. If you wanted to get in touch with me through email, it would also be the number 2, Act Accordingly at gmail.com.
Okay, I'm putting all this in the chat. And you also
Thank you.
said about the Men's Power Group on Facebook.
Yes, Act Accordingly LLC, Men's Power Coaching.
Okay, so
And
we're gonna put this
and
on
as
air.
of now, I'm working on some things to actually have this community. I like the idea of, I didn't want to start another Facebook group. I know not every man is on Facebook or Instagram, but I'm going to reach many of you from there. But in this community, I'm going to start it as, it's going to be very personal. So it's going to be first through email, and then we're going to actually send. I'm gonna have send text messages, do text messages, and send videos and messages through text. So it'll be a text where you can respond back to me personally. I can respond back to those in the group personally. I wanted it to be a really interactive thing and not just a matter of just posting videos into a group and hoping that you see it on your feed at some time, because that's not going to help. I really want something that's going to be interactive, and we actually have interface with each other. And I'll be doing weekly Zooms with the men with different topics. It'll be roundtable discussions. It'll be just me doing a master class on certain things, like first of all, identity, with us identifying who we are. Because right now, as far as our home life goes, as far as our jobs and careers goes, as far as what society and culture says, there's a different requirement that they say there is for being a man in all of these different places. And if we're not sure of who exactly we are and what they need to meet for us, then we'll continue to just be drawn in different directions, running after what someone else says a requirement of a man is, and we not know ourselves. We need to first know what we stand for, what we believe in, and what's the standard that God gave us to walk in. First of all, what's the standard that God gave me to walk in? What is the gift that he has instilled in me that will go out and touch somebody else and pull someone else in? What is it about me that influences in a positive light? What about me makes me a pillar? What about me makes me stand out, that I have a voice that needs to be heard?
Wow. Now here are some comments from some of our listeners. They said, "Great face-to-face interaction is the best. Sick and tired of being sick and tired." Wow. And then someone asked, "Did you have a sponsor or did you kick your habits alone?"
It was alone. Like I said, it was a matter of, I just, it became a burden. It became a burden, and it wasn't a thing about me being a man and I just had to toughen up. It was just the fact that I thought about how it was affecting my family. I thought about how it was affecting my kids. I really saw. So it was like an experience of, I was outside of myself and I could see how I was two different people. That when I would go in the shadows, I would be this person. And then I tried to put on a face I tried to put on a professional face for those that I work with. I tried to put a face on for those that I respected, and I wanted to maintain their respect. But then it's so much, so it wasn't even so much the drugs or the drinking, but the trying to weigh out and live the two lives and trying to be two different people. It became so burdensome that I either had to be one or I had to be the other. So you have to choose, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the best of you, or do you want to be the you that is always hiding and being in the shadows and embarrassed about what you do? If you're embarrassed about what you do, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And Daniel, I can see the passion and I can hear the passion as you discuss this and you talk about this. And that's what we need. So many people with a true and a real passion to reach out and help those that are in darkness and need help. So I commend you, my brother. I thank you so much for what you're doing. We met on another platform um, back in June, I think, and I didn't get to
Yes.
participate because I was sick. But anyway, I started following you at that point. And I'm like, okay, I have got to get him on the podcast because I like what he's talking about. I watch your reels every day on Instagram. They're amazing. So again, I commend you on what you're doing. I want you to keep up the good work. I want you to stay strong so that you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
remain a
Thank
full
you.
vessel to continue to pour into others. And so thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us today here at the Speakeasy Podcast. And until next week, I want to thank all of my listeners and viewers today. This will be available on Spotify, Amazon, and Audible. And until next week, may God bless you today, tomorrow, and always. Take care.